So wonderful to have regulars that we love and cherish. And thanks, Liz and Eleni, for coming back. Hope not the last time. All right, I got a bunch of updates. You know the drill, questions in the chat. I'll try to keep it down to 10 minutes max, hopefully finish straight at like 2:15. First, so most of the current variants is BA4 and 5, and here comes the bad news. The bad news, they seemingly completely evading all the prior immunity. It doesn't matter whether you had prior COVID or you had prior vaccine, nothing seems to be working against this new guys. CDC and feds are putting very large emphasis on next boosters to be BA4 and 5 specific. I have a bad feeling that my original prediction is gonna miss the point. So I was predicting that by the end of the summer, especially both Pfizer and Moderna is gonna have an updated vaccines. The problem is they're gonna update them with BA1 and 2. And so they're gonna miss the 4 and 5 and it's not gonna do anything. And so we are in a very bad situation. The booster is gonna be useless potentially. They're only gonna, well, they're gonna protect against serious illness, but at this point, most of us already had COVID. If you're lucky one who haven't, welcome to the small club that's going to be dwindling as we speak rapidly down. But yeah, everybody should be ready to get it. We probably going to plan to have another update by me or by Ashley to talk about, again, what to do in acute scenario. I think it's time to give a little updates. And there's not a lot of new things, but there are a few. And I think there's certain things that we can kind of just remind everybody. So, okay, good. Thanks for questions, Judy. Yeah, so the symptoms are slightly different. I don't know if we'll be able to separate from 1 and 2 on the verge of just symptoms, but it sounds like that they're a little bit more with the upper airway congestions than 1 and 2 and a little more headachy. So those are the two things I've seen, but I don't think there's real true difference from other Omicrons. So I think they're more or less all the same. Preventive measures, all the same, just what we've talked. And again, maybe we should also cover again specific preventive topic for vitamins and other things in upcoming weeks. So I think Janet and I are going to chit chat about this and we'll make some decisions. But whatever we talked before, zinc, vitamin C, multivitamins, you know, even things like NAC, which usually we take as a treatment, but can also have some preventive role. This whole point now, should we do CBDA and CBGA as all of us, given some of the data coming out? I don't know. I don't think there's enough data. You may see increasing number of preventive things like different sprays in the nose and all that. Some of this is not heavily evidenced, but I think I need to do some additional review to see what's kind of the best current for the past couple of weeks. So I would say stay tuned for more on that. Somebody is not muted, maybe it's Liz, I don't know. Okay, that's that. Let me check the questions. Those of you have traveled by, okay, great. So that's, Benita, you just always read my mind, scary. So segue. So I talked to Dr. Axelrod a couple of days ago, on Tuesday to be exact. And she basically says everybody N95 is on a plane. And the reason is this: apparently the new Omicrons are not, the filtering systems are not working well. It has to do with the speed of infectivity. So in order for the virus to infect you, in order for the plane to filter it out, they have to circulate the air. The problem is, though, think of it this way: if the current uptick is so high that on average on every plane you're going to have about a dozen of people infected at the moment, if the plane is the standard 250 or whatever the standard larger Boeing, you know, we're talking about the long flights. We're not talking about short flights. The short flights are easy. Put whatever mask on, preferably N95. Don't take it off, no problem. The problem is the long flights and the large planes. So 200 plus, 250 plus, guaranteed you're going to have more than like at least half a dozen of people infected at the moment on the plane. So statistically speaking, you may end up being sitting too close to someone when they're coughing, whatever. It's not going to get filtered through before it ends up to you. So that's the problem. So now basically, if you're planning on traveling, be prepared that you can get sick. So, because it's just, you're not going to not take the mask on an intercontinental flight. So just saying, get ready to your immune system for picking it up. All the places, because we're not seeing severe illness anymore. Everybody's sort of just, okay, well, I'm going to be sick for a few days and then fine. The problem is, though, it's your vacation going to get screwed up. That's what like everybody's going to be concerned about. So yeah, Al, thanks. So the mandates, they can mandate whatever they want. That's what I read. It's not going to happen easily because the virus keeps changing. By the time they're going to make the vaccine with a 4 and 5, it's going to mutate to something else, and it's going to be a nuisance. It's just wasted effort. That's what worries me. We'll see if that pans out. No, masks do work against 4 and 5, but again, I don't know if you followed the conversation. On a long flight, you're going to have to take the mask off. You're not going to fly 10 hours without hydrating. That's way more dangerous than actually getting the COVID, right, on a plane. So that's the problem. You're going to eventually demask yourself for a period of time, however it's going to happen. No, KN95 is fine. I often consider N95 and KN95 so close that I wouldn't make a big difference between them. Just not the regular mask. Or if you're doing the regular, put regular and then the cloth mask on top of regular. That tends to be a little bit better if you don't like the N95. But one thing on a long flights, what I find most people tend to prefer, don't put the ones looped at the ears. Those are going to hurt you after like a few hours. You want to have the mask that has the bands going to the back of the head. That seems to be a little bit better in terms of like just pressure on the face. What else I wanted to? So I talked about the BM4 and 5. Oh, there's this new nasal strategies. So I don't know if I can quickly pull it up, but there's this, well, I'm actually not going to go in detail, but there are few medications that I've been seeing appearing in Europe specifically where it's a spray, whether it's a colloidal silver spray. I've seen colostrum, extract of colostrum in the Baltic countries being used as a spray as preventive measure. I wonder if some companies will quickly produce CBGA as a nasal spray, which would be really a great idea in my mind. So we're probably going to see a lot of those things. And I would think that in the future, I'll review them in more details, but that would probably be one of the key aspects of decreasing risk of transmission, because that can be easily applied before you go into high risk situation like the planes that we're talking about or whatnot. So yeah, Al, that's the bottom line with the travel. If you're sitting on a plane and the filtration is what it's what, and you're sitting on a plane for 10 hours, it's just the length of the exposure that accumulates. So I don't have any good. Oh, so Dr. Axelrod's point being like this, just everybody going to get it multiple times. That's what this is look like. Oh, Paxlovid, that's what she mentioned. So the second thing with Paxlovid, apparently in a clinical practice, the failure of the drug to control, to have the, whatever that's called, it's not a tolerance, it's a delayed, so you take the Paxlovid, it doesn't work, the sort of infection gets, so actually up to 20%. So it's much higher than they originally were saying it. Actually, Fauci had this problem. So he had to take 3 courses of Paxlovid to sort of get everything under control. So that's one other problem. But they're not really seeing side effects as expected. And even people who are at higher risk with interactions, because the duration is relatively short, we're not seeing issues. That's a good news. And there is no shortage. So don't feel like, I was asking her, should I get some Paxlovid to go with me on a flight? To prophylaxic, like, oh my, and I was like, I hate this kind of stuff because like I can of course get it as privileged access, but like then and she's like, no, don't worry about it, you're not taking it away from anybody. We have a complete stock everywhere and a lot of. I'm still not going to do it. Like I'm not going to take Paxlovid even if I get sick. I don't feel like I'm in the right category for people. But if you're in that category, I suggest consider pre-stocking because we don't have a problem. And this way, you don't have to worry about reaching your physician on Friday night, which is what always happens. So, okay, current guidelines on quarantine and isolation, nothing is new. So nothing changed. I still use 10 days after the beginning of infection, assuming you're fine. Some people use 5 days after you're symptom-free. I wouldn't do the test as a measure of you recovered. That doesn't make any sense, especially if test comes back positive. You may no longer be infectious, but it's just still positive. So that's that. Okay, yeah, Dr. Fauci had a rebound. That's right. And well, this is secondhand information. I haven't read that on the news. That's from Hannah. Yeah, so exactly. It doesn't cause rebound. It basically delays the viral circulation. So it doesn't remove the virus out of the system. So when you stop the virus, when you stop the Paxlovid, the virus comes back. That's the rebound concern. So. Okay, I think I'm covered everything, and it's 2:16. That's pretty good. And who goes next? Eleni, I'm presuming, or Liz? I don't know. What's the sequence here? You guys take it on.
I don't know. Who's
well, Janet,
Elizabeth, do you want to go next?
You need your intervention.
Janet had indicated that Eleni should be next.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I had one more question of which category of people should take that med?
Well, so there's a special. So anybody who is 50 plus or have any kind of risk of a disease that puts them in a higher risk of getting severe infection. So even if you're under 50, but you have something like, I don't know, diabetes or chronic HIV or whatnot, then you probably should be taking it. But they're relatively loose recommendations, because they're also kind of saying, yeah, but we're going to give, like, anybody can take it in a consultation with your physician. If you feel like you should be taking it, if your physician agrees, then it's perfectly fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Eleni, as mentioned, and I've been here maybe 2 years ago when we started this out before, when COVID just started. So we've been through a lot, haven't we? It's been a long haul so far. Today, I thought would be interesting to talk about, because I think I have until 2:30, right? So I thought it would be interesting to talk about energy. You know how a lot of us talk about time management, but what about energy management? When we start to manage or notice what energizes us and what drains our energy, we can start to navigate, like we can start to plan our days in a different way. We can start to really respond to that, and that helps our energy. It has not only our energy, but our health. So this is what I thought we could talk about today, and in an interactive way. I thought we could start to think about what are some energy drains. I also call them energy leaks, as if they're leaking the energy amount, as if you have like 100 points of energy every day. And then sometimes there's leaks or drains. And I wonder if we can just brainstorm together. What are a few that we are all aware of that are obvious, like eating sugar, that can drain your energy, even if at the beginning it makes you feel better, but over time it really drains you. What are other ways that you notice drain your own energy? If you'd like to speak out, if you wouldn't mind. I'm not that good at reading the chats, but I'll become good here. Reading the newspaper, yes. Overwhelming laundry basket, yes. Toxic people, negativity. Anyone else want to speak out?
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep, yes. Anything else? How about watching a lot of videos, like, numbing out with videos? That can drain our energy. How about little or no exercise? Yeah?
Doom scrolling.
Say it again?
Doom scrolling.
Yeah. So those are the obvious ones we know, right? Now, how about some ones we're not, maybe they're hidden, or they're, sitting is another one. What are some that we may consider when we're thinking about the internal world? What might be some other ways we drain our energy? Difficult conversations. Yeah, those can be very draining. And why are they draining? Who would want to, I'll give my 2 cents, but what might you think of why they drain us? Please.
Emotionally taxing.
Emotionally taxing, okay. Anyone else?
Stressful.
Sorry, I didn't hear, I can't see who's speaking, so say it again.
Stressful.
Stressful, stressful, yes. I'm trying to put my volume. Anything else?
Could be lack of empathy.
Lack of empathy,
Both
yeah.
parties.
Yeah, yeah. We could go in with judgments like this is difficult, and that can make us stressed out because we're thinking it's difficult and it will become difficult. It will be even more difficult. Yeah. So our thoughts can create drains. Like this is going to be difficult. How about the future is going to be bad? We're getting worse. Like things are getting worse. Or I won't be able to handle what happens. So what I'd like to point us to is how we think can drain us. Elizabeth, I see your hand raised, please.
When we're ill, we use a lot of energy to become well. So we need to think about that and compensate for that loss of energy.
Definitely, definitely. So it's really good for us to rest while we're sick instead of work when we have a tendency, at least in our culture, to work as if it doesn't matter at all.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Where thought goes, energy flows. Yes, that's a good one. The too much stuff and stacks of paper, definitely, we were talking about with Elizabeth, our desks, but you know, overwhelm. What is overwhelm? Overwhelm is like a wide angle lens looking at everything we haven't done, we need to do, we should have done, we did and didn't do well enough. And then the antidote to that is really narrowing down and becoming more focused and saying, okay, what's one thing I can do? And that can shift us out of overwhelm. So staying in an overwhelmed state definitely can drain our energy. Anything else? So how does this idea of, you know, focusing on energy land on you? Like, how might you start changing your day to design it around what energizes you? Or have you noticed that some parts of the day you're more energized than others? Some are more energized in the mornings, some are more energized in the evenings. What do you notice in yourself? And what you could do to design your day around energy? Any ideas?
I think you could plan your day. You could have a plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. You can plan your day. If plans, you know, energize you, definitely plan your day so you know what's coming. And you can even, if you have tasks on your list that you don't want to do, you can make sure you have enough energy reserves to do them so that they drain you less. Thank you, Jada. I see Jennifer saying exercise, talking with friends, sleep early, get up early. Yeah, so you find your own ways of building energy. What I've learned to do is I do what Jada says, I plan. And then I also make sure to do difficult things in the morning because I have the most energy. And then I do, you know, lighter tasks or tasks that are less taxing for me in the afternoon. So I always have my meetings, anything that I need a lot of energy for, I have my meetings or challenging tasks. I have them in the morning. And then as the afternoon goes, they get lighter, lighter discussions and lighter tasks.
I think you also have to talk with yourself because you can talk yourself in or out of anything. So you have to stay positive about what you want to do, stay focused.
Yeah, excellent. So you talk to yourself and you change your thoughts. And by changing your thoughts, you affect your feelings. So a lot of us watch the news and we listen to the news, we watch it, and that's a good way to drain your energy. Why? Why do we get drained energy when we watch or listen to the news versus read it? What might be different between those?
When you're looking at it, like on the news, you're experiencing it. You're looking, you're using your senses and you're experiencing it.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. It has visuals oftentimes,
Mhm.
right? Pictures, they're usually unpleasant pictures. And then the way the sports, or not the sports, the newscasters speak, they speak usually in a generally even tone, but you can always sense anxiety, you know, because they're talking about difficult things. And a lot of newscasters have heightened, like I'm from Greece and the newscasters are yelling. So when I listen to the news, I'm like amplified. But when I read the news, I don't have that emotional contagion. I can like step apart from it. It's still difficult to read, but it's less intense for me. So that's a one way to be, you know, stay abreast or knowledgeable of what's happening, but then not really drain a lot of energy. Yeah, Elizabeth says when we're not on our own pace. Would you like to elaborate on that, Elizabeth?
Yeah, sure. I think what you was in response to your point about the news, and that if one is reading, say, the newspaper online or physically, it doesn't matter, you can put it down. You can say, all right, I've taken that and I'm going to put it down, and you can choose, you know, what to engage with as opposed to being told what to engage with, you know, via live media.
Yeah, really good distinction. Thank you. Yeah. So we start to notice, and just like being just mindful about our energy, we notice what energizes us, what drains us, what relationships affect us. And if we have to have difficult relationships, we design the way we talk with people or how we think. And so that when we have judgments, we increase our stress and anxiety. When we just are judgment-free and empathic, we have less energy drain and can feel more energetic. And we're going to have a workshop in August. You can join us. It's on the GW website, and it talks about how to identify all the energy drains and plug them, and then find some energy boosts. Because it's one thing to plug an energy drain, and you can like list them, like the top 5, and then start to plug them, find ways to make sure that those aren't draining you. And then you can say, okay, what boosts my energy? Because it's different to not have an energy drain to have an energy boost, but they're both useful. And when you can have those, you can even more really affect your well-being by noticing your energy and just being aware of it and interacting with yourself on an energy level. Any comments or questions or objections?
Looks like Elizabeth Walker has her hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Elizabeth, please.
As
I
I
thought that was
age,
last time.
as I
Say it
age, I believe more and more in the physical principle that a body in motion tends to stay in motion, and a body at rest tends to stay at rest. So if I have a large task to do in the garden or have to move and I don't really want to begin that task, I just start moving my body. And I go through simple things first, but as I get rolling, then I don't feel the energy drain for the bigger task. It just seems to happen organically. But if I sit in a chair, I can think, I can't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. So I do think it's important to move, and then that in itself, something happens in your cells with, I don't know, probably magnesium or something, and things start to fire and you start to have that energy.
That's a wonderful idea. Thank you for sharing. That's great. Just start, basically start moving your body and start anything. I started my yoga practice yesterday again and it was like, ooh, things are stiffer than I remember, and just start. You know, it's like this idea of just starting the movement, and then it gets easier. Thank you. Anyone else before we close this out? No? Okay, well, I hope this was helpful, and I hope it gives you some, you know, ideas to think about and notice in yourself.
Thank you so much. And so we can get the information about your workshop in August?
Yes, should I find that? I'll put that.
If you can put
Yeah,
it
I'll put
now
that
in,
link.
if you put it in the chat now, that would be good. And then I'm sure we can post this when we post the recording.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll put in the chat. Thank you. It's through GW, so thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to Eleni for really giving some thought-provoking conversation, ideas, and opportunity for reflection. I greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much for offering your wisdom. And so it's actually completely unplanned, really dovetails well with what I was going to bring today for the mindfulness section of our time. So as was generously introduced earlier, my name is Elizabeth Goldberg. I am a licensed massage therapist and also a health and wellness coach, member of the International Coaching Federation. And live here in Washington, D.C. So I provide a body positive, whole person centered bodywork and health coaching practice that's really centered in inclusion and discovery of realization of self-defined versions of health. And so at this point, if everyone wants to go gather a pen and paper, it's going to be some writing opportunities today. So I encourage you to find that in your home very briefly. And then you can see the enthusiasm with which we're all grabbing pen and paper. So I'm excited for all to be here. So first, before we begin, an opportunity to center. So however that is going to be for you today, maybe that might be getting up and moving a little bit. We've been sitting for half an hour, or maybe centering, putting your feet flat on the floor, sit bones comfortably on a chair, or lying down, whatever that is for you. So for the next couple of minutes, let's just start to deepen our breath. If it is helpful for you, you can always place one hand on your heart, another hand on your belly. Feel that undulation of breath that occurs. In through your nose, out through your mouth, really. See that wave of where the oxygen goes. Is there a string, perhaps, holding from the very top of your head, allowing your spine to elongate just a little more? On your next deep inhale, see if you can ask your rib cage to expand 360 degrees. If you're sitting, would your ribs be able to touch the back of your chair? The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which we knew it would inherit the earth before anybody said so. The cat sleeping on the fence is famous to the birds, watching him from the birdhouse. The tear is famous, briefly, to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is only famous to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it, and not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to shuffling men who smile while crossing streets, sticky children in grocery lines, famous as the one who smiled back. I want to be famous in the way a pulley is famous, or a buttonhole, not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do. So in this moment, allow your breath to come back to its natural cadence if it hasn't already done so. And when you're ready, allow your eyes to open to a soft gaze. So here we are in a world that is challenging. In my coaching practice, I ask people to create their own definition of health and wellness. And I'll touch upon that today, but I also want to humbly offer for our time some tried and true strategies that are known to enhance our well-being, positive psychology, asking yourself what's good right now, connection, and gratitude. And I really love that poem about being famous because it's about the little things. It's about the things that enhance and bring in the energy in our lives. What is the connection? What is the gratitude to ourselves, to others in this time of profound disconnection? So, and can what we offer to the world be part of what helps feed our own wellness and happiness? Something to think about. So if you can take out your pen and paper, I'm going to give you several prompts today. And I'll put them in the chat as well, just so you have them, and you'll have a couple minutes for each prompt. And this is just free writing. So there's no, it's nothing is wrong. This is all about just what flows and getting into flow. So the first question is, what is your vision in what brings you joy right now? This can be written, this can be a bullet points, this can be a drawing, this is yours. What makes it so joyful? What does gratitude mean to you? Or even just the way, if you just take even away my prompt, just if we had a word gratitude, what follows on your piece of paper? What right now are you grateful for? This could be the lunch you had today, that you got Wordle in 3, whoever gets it in 2, I just don't understand people, but just kidding. Or it could be much larger. The supportive community. Just some ideas showing that it can be at any level for you. Who in your life are you grateful for? I know this is getting harder, and I really appreciate you sticking with it, so thank you. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're grateful for you, your body, what it can do. Maybe it's the person in the grocery line who smiled back. Or a parent, child. Now, knowing what you know about this moment, this day, this time of where it's bringing you joy and where you hold gratefulness, gratitude. Last prompt. What do you want to do next? What do you want to put out into the world this afternoon? So after what was really a very fast journaling exercise and things, I'm curious, is anyone open to sharing what came up for them? Or maybe just some of the, like a small anecdote of joy? Jada, excuse me, please share.
Yes. I like music and quiet times.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for the people, places, and things in my life that bring me happiness. What I'm grateful for today is being online with you all to learn about things that benefit me. And I appreciate people who smile. And I want to let go of things that overwhelm me. And what I want to put into the world is kindness.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jada. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Someone else? I can't see it. Just jump in. Misha, did you have anything that came up for you?
Yeah, do less work.
Okay.
No, I think I'm a little off the beat at the moment because we're going on vacation. So all I can think is that. But I think the whole point here is learning better and better to balance the activity and repose. I think it's always been my weak spot. And I think, Liz, whenever you lead this exercise, I always drop to that place again and again. But I think it's a never-ending story. Some of these weaknesses we have, you can't just conquer them overnight. I mean, that take a long time to lifelong, I would say. Yeah.
Jennifer writes, laughing brings us joy. Laughing, I'm grateful for those who make me laugh. I'm grateful for the conversations I have with friends, even if we're not in person right now. I'm seeing my brother next week. We crack each other up. Thank you, Jennifer, for saying that. Sometimes Misha cracks me up.
Never enough of that. Always more.
Kathy, do you have anything that came up for you in this joy and gratitude and what to do with it? No, yes. So I offered this because, and I encourage you to think about things that make us happy. If we think through positive psychology, one of the tenets is what's going well now. This is, excuse me, fly. This is, a big thing of we're talking about sapping energy. How do we build energy? And doing exercises like this, where we ask about what is in our control, are the things that are providing energy, actually articulating them out, is a mindfulness exercise that can serve us at any point and has, proven evidence to show that it works in bringing up resilience. We've talked about that before in coming out of difficult struggle, in working through struggle. There's always an opportunity to ask, step away, put down Twitter, put down the phone, put down things. What is working? What is well now? And what can I put out into the world? Because that is what is greater. So if we take ourselves out of subtle fight or flight, that draining subtle, have a metacognition to think, where am I in this world? Take ourselves, kind of look from a bird's eye view, and then think that things are more than just me. What can I put out into the world? These are three things that can be really key to cultivating our own wellness, our own sense of connectivity, our own pieces. So I offer that with humility. Thank you for going on this journey with me today. And I also encourage you to, when in a place of hardship, see if there's something you can hold on to, even if it's the person who smiled back in the grocery line, or the person who sweeps the street. I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Janet. And I have one, as my time is up, I have an assignment for you. Today, please send a picture that you have on your phone to someone else who's in it.
Oh, I love that idea.
They don't have it. It's on your phone or hard drive or flash drive. And we love it. And we've had this wonderful opportunity. Send it to the other person. Let them know how you feel.
All right. So I think that is a lovely way to end today's gathering. I'm so happy to have Eleni and Elizabeth with us, and we'll definitely invite them back because I got so much out of both the presentation and this session. Just so you all know, in a few weeks, my background is going to look different because I am moving to South Carolina. So I will be teleworking from the Low Country. Misha, did you have anything to say before I wrap us up?
Drive carefully.
Yeah,
I did type the task, the homework, which Liz always gives all participants whenever she's taking on, which I actually think is great. So I put that in chat if anybody forgets. So yeah, thank you everybody. I won't see you next week as I mentioned, so I'll see you the week after. Janet, who do we have for next week?
Next week we have Sage Rain Dancer. We'll be doing the mind body session. And since I'm now finding out that you won't be here next week, I got to scramble and find somebody to do a wellness talk.
Oops. All right. Not sure how that happened, but it happened. We'll work on that in the next couple of days.
Yeah, no problem.
To get somebody on. Yeah.
All right. Happy Friday, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.